Good evening and welcome to Raise the Bar. I'm your host, Troy Haines of Sky High and Fly Jump Camps. And tonight is going to be a first for us here on Raise the Bar. We have a young man coming in who is in high school. So I've never had a high school guest before, but we're just going to get him on in here and start talking with him. His name is Brandon Cheeks, and he's from the San Diego area. And I see him kind of logging in to our guest room. We don't have a green room. Nobody can come in and chill before the show like they used to have on Johnny Carson. It's just your room wherever you are. And then my room looks like a green room. I got the Raise the Bar emblem on behind me. But again, this is just my room with a virtual background. So, but I'm seeing Brandon's background. Looks like he's in the middle, either of a long or a triple jump. I'm going to guess triple. But we're almost ready to go. So Brandon's marks are exceptional. He's good at all three of the jumps. He's a high jump, long jump, triple jumper. And I think I've had him on Instagram for a couple of years already. But and there he is. It's Brandon Cheeks. How you doing,
Hi,
sir? All right.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. All right. Well, hey, we got you. I appreciate you rushing. I feel bad. You're in your car. Did you get stuck out there?
I did. So I had to drop my brother off at school, and the rain is really bad. So there's a bunch of traffic. So I was like, let me just park.
All right. Well,
So
you can if you can talk and drive at the same time, we'll change our opinion of males and multitasking. Because I always tell my guys, I'm like, okay, you're a male, so you can only do one thing at a time. We
right.
have like one singular mind focus. But if you can drive and talk at the same time, that'd be awesome. So Brandon, nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years. I was just telling my listeners that I've been following you for a couple of years. I've seen your posts come up, and I don't know why. I've just been recently on a kick of anybody that I see that's jumping. It doesn't necessarily have to be at a high level. It's nice when they are, but I've had some posts recently with people are just beginning. Their first year, they're jumping 5.2 or something. It's like, hey, here's
Hmm.
let's get your videos. I'm into promoting the sport, and everybody's got to start somewhere. But why don't you tell our listeners, Brandon, first of all, which high school you're from? I know you're down in San Diego area, and then hit us with your personal bests and some of your goals and things like that for this season, because you're a senior this year, right?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So let's hear how all about it.
Okay, so I go to Mission Bay High School. It's in Mission Bay, San Diego, a couple minutes away from the beach. Really good location. Um, my PRs have, as of right now, on the high jump is 6'8". Triple jump is 6'11", long jump 23.8.
6'11" and triple in meters. What does that come out to in feet?
I mean, 46'11" in
4611,
feet.
611. Yeah. Okay. 4611.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Mhm.
Whenever I hear numbers like that, my brain just freezes because my metric is terrible. High jump metric is okay, but after one, long and triple jump numbers, I'm like, no, no.
Yeah.
So wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's CIF finals quality in all of those. And that's San Diego section too, right? So you've got San Diego section. Let's do this. How did you do this last year, your junior year? How'd you do with those marks at the section and all that?
Okay. So unfortunately, I got injured. Um, it was during league,
Mm-hmm.
so I could only compete in the high jump without any pain or anything. I made it all the way to state in the high jump.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting like sixth.
Okay.
Um, but other than that, it was pretty disappointing not to win CIF, due to my injury, but I'm glad I at least had high jump.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, injuries suck, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I think a lot of times we just are victims of overtraining as jumpers,
Yeah.
and a triple threat like yourself, a lot of ways remind me of, Megan Humphreys. I'm sure you're familiar with Megan's high long triple and runs the 100, and or relays and whatever else. But she made it to state in all four, and was competitive in all four, but didn't win any of them. But as a team, she was a one man team for her high school. She came in third in state, just in those four events with the points that she got. Right. So, but it's an amazing job to try to manage all that volume. So what kind of things did you learn last year from that experience, from getting hurt at your league finals and having to back down so heavily?
Oh, I learned so many things. I learned not everything's guaranteed. Like I thought I was gonna be able to win, I was gonna have a good season, but uh I learned not to take my abilities for granted. Like
Uh-huh.
they could go away in any instant.
Yeah.
Um I also learned I needed to find a hobby besides track because when I was off the track, I had no idea what to do. Like I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had to find hobbies, other hobbies, and yeah.
Okay. So maybe not so deathly focused. Yeah, that's interesting too. I remember becoming pretty tunnel visioned towards the end of my senior year with the run to state and all that too. But I was only a high jumper. I didn't have any speed or I have never wanted to triple jump in my life. I've actually coached it for quite a few years now, but it's one of the few that I won't demonstrate. I never go, hey, do it like this. I'm like, no, man, that's gonna hurt. My legs hurt. I'm 60 years old, man. I don't want to do that. I remember my coach Baru made us do triple jump down. Repeat
Yeah.
7 strong legs, 7 weak legs. Then we would do some switch bounding. And I was always like, "What are we doing this for, Elias?" He's like, it's good for you. You go."
Yeah.
He was a Romanian heavy accent, and I was just like, "Yeah, but I'm not a triple jumper." I would argue. I was just lazy as anybody else. I'm like, I don't see the value in this. Of course, now all these years of coaching later, I do, but at the time, I was like, I just don't get it. So didn't seem to serve its purpose. Now, so this year you're back, you're healthy, and you're gunning for what do you think is going to happen marks wise? And let's find out what the Vegas line is on Brandon Cheeks on all three
Mm.
events. How your prospects looking for the return to state in all three?
I am hoping state title in all three,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's possible.
Right.
Um, marks wise, I shoot pretty high, so I'm hoping for 7 feet in the high jump, um, 48 in triple, and then 24 mid for long jump.
Okay. Coaches ever ask you to do any sprinting?
Yeah, that's how I got injured actually,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sprinting.
Okay. Yeah, that
Hmm.
would make sense. If you're jumping 24 feet, you got to have some speed, right? And 48 in the triple, you got to have some speed. So, how tall are you and how much you weigh, Brandon? Just curious. I just want
I
to
am
say go.
6'2",
Mm-hmm.
and I am 145.
Oh, perfect, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always tell my jumpers, I'm like, God made birds with hollow bones for a reason.
right.
Yeah, so you could get air. There's a few guys out there that are like dinosaurs, like real big guys that jump high.
Hmm.
I had one on a couple months ago now, Fabian Delrid from Sweden. This kid's he's 6'9". I think he's
Hmm.
24 now. I say kid, but I'm an old man, so 24 is a kid, but he's 6'9", and he's jumped 233, which is 7.775,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah. And I mean, he's just a giant, right? So, but he only weighs 210 for 6'9". So he's not
Oh
really,
wow.
heavy. He's just heavier than most high jumpers. And then
Yeah.
maybe you've seen him. Have you seen Jumpman Westner on the feed anywhere? If you haven't, you can look him up. He's a guy. He jumped at Florida State uh, back in 2021. He had just switched schools and went there for his senior year. I think he was actually a graduate student, but he is still. I don't know if he's going to be doing it this year or not, but he jumped 7.5 1/4 to get to the trials, and he's 6'3" and a good 210, 215. Like he looks like an NFL wide receiver type. He's not huge by any means, but for a high jumper, he's carrying 215 pounds. But when we did our podcast, he told me that he felt better, heavier.
Mm.
which I was like, man, that was not my experience. The more weight I put on, the harder it was to get it up in the air. So, all right. So we've got your goals out of the way, which is awesome. I love, by the way, those of you out there listening, I love the fact that Brandon has set his goals so high. That is awesome. I think in this day and age, it's too easy for everybody to just go, well, just make a goal, but you don't have to really, you don't want to be disappointed if you don't get it. It's like, well, what's the fun of that? It's like I could set my goals really low and achieve them. And then what? Then you got to re-goal in the middle, first of all. Or yeah, you're just happy with something really low. So I love that, man. Aim high. Awesome. So if all goes well, you're a three-time state champ or three event state champ in 1 year. And then what? What do you think is going to happen then? With or without a state title, there's got to be people knocking down your door for your services.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping to compete at the D1 level. Um, the school doesn't really matter. Um, just somewhere where I'm gonna progress as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to win nationals again. But this time in three events instead of two. I
Mm-hmm.
want to get three national titles, like the youth national title
Right.
and long jump, triple jump, and high jump.
Right. Okay. So yeah, for you listening out there, this is Brandon Cheeks. He's my first, I don't know if I told you this, Brandon, you're my first high school guest
Mm,
ever, I believe. So, and that's awesome. And you did say when I asked you about yourself in your post, which did really well, by the way, I think it's still getting views,
yeah.
that you had won two events, right? So now you want the three. Is that right?
Yes.
So which two did you win?
Long jump and triple jump.
You won the long and the triple. And then which version of that is there? Because this is one thing I admit to a huge weakness in, because for years, as I've been coaching, I always coached through this, spring and into the early summer, and then I switched over to football. So
Mm,
I really did not pay attention to Junior Olympics or anything else. But I do know that last year, I know now that there's two versions of Junior Olympics,
yep.
both USATF and the AAU. And then there's also now these national meets, the Nike Nationals,
Yeah.
those ones, which are exciting because they got some money behind them, right? And then
Yep.
they have them in different parts of the country. So, which one did you go to, and are you going to stay with the same plan? Are you going to try a different one this year, or how's that go?
Well, I did the USATF Junior Olympics
Uh huh.
during the summer, but I'm hoping to maybe do New Balance indoors during the winter. But
Mm-hmm.
I have to travel, so I gotta save the money. And then I'm hoping to do Nike Outdoor Nationals during the summer after Junior Olympics.
That is the one. That's just me speaking with old wisdom, but go to Eugene.
Yeah.
Go to Eugene, go where the Nike money's flowing. Absolutely. And, for you guys now, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. You're like, here's this kid, he's got all this talent. And now the floodgates are starting to open, right? There's these NIL, NIL. You can go to college and you can get paid to do what you do. That's so awesome. So, and yeah, Nike's the place. Boy, I tell you, the other thing for someone as talented as yourself is, I love the wisdom that you're showing by saying, I want to go where I can improve. Because I just had as a guest, it hasn't been produced yet. I've put it on YouTube. I had Sean Lee's dad, Ron Lee. Sean Lee was a two-time state champ in the high jump. He went to UCLA. He jumped 7.3 in high school. He jumped 7.3 while he was at UCLA. He might have even jumped 7.3 and a quarter. I think he went up to 221 from 220 is 2.5. 221 is 7.3. So yeah, he was at 221. And but two-time state champ, broke multiple national records on his way up through high school. When he's going 10 through 14, has all those age records. And at that time, he wasn't real tall. And in high school, he shot up to like 6'8". His dad, Ron's, like 6'4". And his mom, not real tall. So I don't know where he got the 6'8" from. But in high school, when he was jumping against some of my athletes, he was a giant kid. So he's a 6'8", jumping 7'3". And Ron and I talked at length about what happens to these athletes that come out of high school and they just kind of fizzle. They don't necessarily get any better. Um, and we talked at length about that. Different ideas. Is it the American style of training? Is it the changeover from high school to college? The first year is really difficult. Sometimes just the academics and the social, can kick in and derail the physical. And then maybe it's maturity. Sometimes guys will all of a sudden grow into their man bodies and put on like another 20 pounds or something. So, and what we just talked about was the strength to weight ratio, right? So yeah, that's a big pick. But you honestly don't have anywhere you want to go, or come on, where do you really want to go if you had your druthers, knowing what you know now before knowing what you're going to know later?
I would say a real dream school, probably USC,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. USC.
Okay, so that labels you an enemy of the program because I'm a Bruin, but we'll let that go. I say that tongue in cheek. I was very lucky when I was at UCLA. My second year there, I'm training in the summer, and Tony Banks, who was a a guy who had been at the school, who was just training there now, but was a former Bruin. He comes walking in one day, and I'm just running around doing running drills. I wasn't doing anything that special. And he came strolling up with Marcus Allen, former, all-time great running back from the San Diego area. He went to SC. He was actually the fullback who blocked for Ricky Bell for 2 years while Ricky Bell was winning a Heisman and doing all kinds of stuff. And then Marcus only got to be the man at USC his senior year. Well, he promptly ran for like 2,300 yards, won the Heisman, got drafted by the Raiders, was rookie of the year. And then the year after that, they won the Super Bowl in which he was the MVP. Right. So I met him the summer before the Super Bowl and the MVP thing. This is like 84. So, yeah, was that right? Man, it might have been, yeah, I got to backtrack. It might have been after that had happened. But anyway, so he's a USC guy training at the UCLA campus, and he was and is the most gracious person. He is the most unassuming. He didn't walk up and say, "I'm that guy. I've got all my stuff. I'm carrying my Heisman behind me on a cart." He was just like he was just there to put on a vest and work out. So he was great. That was one of my all time favorites. The other person I would die to meet from SC is Ronnie Lott, because I'm a Niner fan and he played for the Niners and he was, 4-time Super Bowl champ. So for my money, the greatest defensive back to ever put on cleats, but there you have it. So yeah, I don't really have that much against SC. So SC would be great. Do you think about any of the SEC schools, or are you going to stay out here on the coast?
I think I'm gonna stay closer to like probably in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got SC, you got UCLA. I'm trying to think of other strong collegiate programs. Oregon has all the money running through it. Yeah. And then the other thing I would suggest, because I have no idea, I really don't do my homework on those things, is, who's coaching what at the schools that you're at, and then, what kind of success have they had. That's
Yeah.
that's something that, a lot of times it's just the allure of the school. And I'll hear people say, "Yeah, I went there and I thought it was going to be great." And then turned out that, the guy or the gal that was coaching the jumps was a pole vaulter and had been a multi-event athlete or something,
Right.
and you're like, okay, so how did that work? Like, not so good. You're like, yeah, well, it's too bad you didn't know that, beforehand. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things you can put on your checklist. So what is it? What was the other thing I was saying? I've always got something to say. So tell us a little bit about your training. What are you doing right now? I know you're just talking about the indoor nationals. So where are you in training for that? Have you been lifting a lot or doing a lot of sprinting, or what does a training week look like for Brandon?
So basically, I'm on a club team right now.
Uh-huh.
it's like a group of 10 very elite, I would say very elite athletes. There's a couple, actually no, there's like five pro athletes,
Hmm.
and then the rest are high school athletes, like state and CIF level
Right.
athletes. And we have like right now we're doing weightlifting, heavy weightlifting, technique, and sprinting drills.
Hmm.
And then closer towards um like the indoor season, we're gonna start getting on the track and doing technique into the pit, our approach runs. We just started doing that this week. We just started our approach runs and stuff.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's about my training right now.
Okay. Have you been out to the Olympic Training Center and visited Jeremy Fisher and all that out there?
I have. I
Yeah.
have.
Have you gotten a chance to train there?
Not yet.
Yeah.
We
Or
have a couple
compete
meets
even?
there though, so I'll be
Yeah,
there.
there's meets out there all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that if did you get a chance to meet Jeremy?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yeah, he's a great guy. I haven't talked to Jeremy for a couple of years. I was again, he was very gracious for someone who's as accomplished as he is and in charge of the training center there and all that. He was very gracious with his time and we had a good hour talking about things a couple of years ago. I think it was might have been before the pandemic. Gosh, I can't even remember. I'm so glad the pandemic's over, by the way. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
the only one. But I'm sure I'm not. But I did finally get down there this last year to see it. It's been so long. My parents live in San Diego, right? So I should be able I should be able to go there whenever I go
Yeah.
down to visit. I end up playing golf or something and I don't go. So I went out of my way to go see it and I was just blown away. And there was nobody there. It was one of those summer days. There's just not much going on. But so the Olympic Training Center, now this group, the reason that came to mind was you're talking about these five pro athletes and then the kids from the area. And I'm like, man, that sounds like it's got Jeremy's fingerprints all over it.
Yeah.
That would be the kind of thing that I could see him doing. So when you're training now, you get a chance to rub elbows with these pros and learn some tricks? Is that how that works?
Yes, I do. Yeah, right now we have Lexi Ellis in our group, which is really good to train with her. She went to Oregon. She was a triple jumper. Um, it's good training with her because we're usually like training partners because we're
Mm-hmm.
similar in strength and size.
Mm-hmm.
So like she like would like resist me during our resistance runs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And she just like she's really good at giving me pointers on how to improve my technique. And yeah, it's good to learn from her.
Awesome. Yeah, that's man, I have heard that story so many times, and I'm such a big believer. When we were in high school, you guys are so blessed to have the internet, right? You have if you don't realize that, all you got to do is ask anybody old like me and say, "Do you have any videos of when you competed?" And my
Yeah.
answer is no. I have nothing. I cannot find any videos anywhere. There may be a few. There's a box that my uncle gave me, but the problem is I don't even have a VCR to play it on to see if I
Mm.
do have any videos. It's like everything just went obsolete so fast. So it's like, and now I can see you, I can see, anybody who's jumped in the last 20, 30 years that has their stuff on YouTube. Instagram has been fabulous for me. I watch people all the time, and I see their posts. I'll see a picture of them on the stand. I'm like, okay, great. And I'm fingering through going, you're on the stand. Where's the jump, man? I want to see the jump, So I watch people jumping, all the time. And even when we were in high school, I remember the way that I learned best, number one, was to jump against the really good guys. So I remember, as you do, going to Mount Sac, going to Arcadia, and jumping at those meets. My junior year, I think I jumped 6'8" the day before Arcadia. We had a dual meet on Thursday. I think Arcadia was on Friday. And I picked that day to jump 6'8", which used to be the height to get in. And
Mhm.
so my coaches called up and they actually let me in. I got to compete the next night.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. And so, I'm walking around. Mike Powell, our
Yeah.
world record holder in a long jump, he was a 7'1" high jumper in high school.
Mm.
An all CIF basketball player. No surprise. He could jump out of the building. And he never even really trained at it. So he came over and asked me, "Is that your mark?" And I'm like, yeah, that's right there. And he goes, "Okay." He looks down at it and he just runs up, shuffles his feet, and jumps over like 6'6" or something. I don't know what it was at when we were warming up. He's like, "Okay, thanks," and he goes running off. That was how I met Mike Powell, and then I got to be teammates with him for 1 year at UCLA. But he was at that meet, and I remember just like I was like a little kid, walking around with the autograph book.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that, but I'm like watching everybody, and I'm just like, man, I gotta see what everybody's doing here.
Right.
And it's still kind of a blur, but I went from deer in the headlights, happy to be there, to the next year going, I want to win this thing. So
Right.
I believe that happens with elite athletes like yourself. You're climbing up the chain there, and it's like, not only do you want to learn from the people above you, but I think the competitor side of everybody's like, I'm gonna beat those guys. I'm gonna
Yeah.
step up and take my swings, and if I can beat them, I'm gonna beat them. So that's just human nature and learning, right? But watching really good technique. We had a guy on a couple years ago now, Tyler Arroyo, another Olympic trials guy from 2021, and he had only jumped. He was up at Chico State, and he jumped 7.2.5. He was 220 jumper, and I guess somehow he got down to where he started training with Jeremy Fisher down by you, and the guy that took second or third in the Olympics. I guess it was third because they shared the gold, right? So there's two golds. The guy that came in third from South Korea was there. He's training with Jeremy in South Korea, right? So he was over there training, and I guess Tyler was working out with him, right? So he was watching and learning and listening and growing and training, and then lo and behold, he jumped 7.5 1/4 and made the trial mark. He PR'd by 3 inches that year in the spring leading up to the trials, like perfect timing. And as a reward, you get to go to the Olympic trials. So yeah, I'm a big believer in watching copy and asking questions, and then having high level training partners whenever possible. So yeah, the idea that you have there of getting a good training group, I like that. I've been mimicking that for a while. I tried to get the best kids in the area to say, hey, so and so is going to be there. I try to goad them into come into workouts. I'm like, hey, have you ever jumped against that guy? Yeah, he's going to be there. Let's get you guys all matched up. So did you do any other sports as you were coming up other than track? Did you play football or basketball?
Growing up, I played basketball like since birth.
Right.
Um, and then I just stopped playing it sophomore year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And then I started. I was doing track since sixth grade,
Uh-huh.
and then basketball and track was getting too overwhelming, and I kind of fell out of love with basketball. So then I just focused on track sophomore year.
Yeah. Did it have anything to do with the coaches or the kids or anything, or was it just the grind?
It was the coaches.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing when people ask me, how come you didn't do this? I'm like, well, I was a 6'2" kid that could dunk as a sophomore. And
Right.
I don't remember the coach ever even batting an eyelash, one way or the other. And he had his teams and everything was all set. I went out for it in the summer, and I was playing football, went out for basketball, and it was just like, yeah, there was nothing there, not either good nor bad, mostly disinterest, but football was way more intense. I liked that better anyway. And I'd always had track. So it was just kind of like, I really like playing basketball. I still do that, so, and I
Mhm.
love dunking, for high jump, I think is just, tailor made. If I had a guy anywhere that I recruit from, first it's basketball. Volleyball is kind of a distant second because so many volleyball players are two-legged. They don't really jump off one very often. So it's not a hard and fast rule, and the timing's just bad. I mean, volleyball is in the spring, so if they're going to do volleyball and track together, it's terrible double.
Right.
Because they just, especially since the volleyball coaches kill their guys, they just run them into the ground. So the guys that would come out to me to practice from volleyball, they'd be limping around. I didn't even have the heart to make them jump that much. like take a couple jumps low and get out of here. You barely move. All right. So you played basketball coming up. Now, were you able to dunk when you were a sophomore already?
Yeah, I was. I wasn't that good at basketball. That was about the only thing I could do.
Yeah.
Dunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there's guys who made a career out of that. Dennis Rodman couldn't play on offense, but he could rebound and run the floor, and then he could dunk. I don't know if I ever saw him shoot other than either a dunk or a layup. I mean, one of those guys. Or like DeAndre Jordan, right? And when they played for the Clippers for all those years, like it was either lob jams or putbacks. That was it. But you need someone to block a shot or grab a rebound. Guy, unbelievable.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm thinking you're gonna go in this area. SC is possible. State finals. You're down there. Um, the other one other thing I wanted to mention, which is it's we had a teammate of mine on just a couple weeks ago, Roy Carls, who was a decathlete. He started out as a 400-meter guy,
Hmm.
and then he became a decathlete. And big guy, played football. He had talked about going out for the team, but then, he stayed with track, and he was a kinesiology guy. So that was leading me up to this question. What is it that you're interested in studying when you go off to college? If you have anything picked yet?
I'm interested in studying probably music production,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of schools don't have music production, so probably like music performance or something creative, like art or
Okay.
design. Yeah.
Art or design, or yeah, that's a field I know zip about as far as getting in there. My son wanted to do when he went off to school, he wanted to be an write and draw his own anime, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then the places that he picked, he ended up switching over towards the writing side more. So he just got his degree in English. So I don't, but that's still kind of on the arty side. Yeah, I was kinesiology. So, PE kind of stuff,
Yeah.
biomechanics and all that. Um, does that affect the USC goals and that kind of thing? Like if you look that far ahead to see if there's somebody who can cater to your major and still teach how to high jump at the same time?
It does affect it a little bit, but I'm very open to like experiencing other majors. Like that's
Yeah.
I'm not just set on that idea. That's what I want to do, but I'll find something else I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this sounds crazy. This is like older me talking over younger me,
Mhm.
but business, um,
Mm.
I hate to say become a CPA because you just have to pay them later. But if you're going to make all this NIL money and then make you make all this money, you
Yeah.
got to know how to manage it, or somebody will try to take it away from you. Or yeah, the business side, some way about doing that, because you're pretty savvy. I can tell already. You got yourself on Instagram. You're interested in this, kind of working the social media, and it's huge. And I think it's done nothing but grow in the last 4 or 5 years. Um, you have to be, know what you're doing, know which platforms you're dealing with. There's so many things, and I can't claim to have that much of a clue, but I just like working, the Instagram stuff and putting out my videos and whatever. But there's a lot of different layers, between
Yeah.
Instagram and TikTok and YouTube videos, and so
Mhm.
and making it all work, especially in the entertainment industry. That's the other thing that's smart though, is staying out here on the West Coast, because you're not going to find a whole lot better. There's a few. I got a buddy that moved to Nashville because he
Mhm.
had his record company and wanted to get deeper into that business. So there's Nashville, there's LA. Where else would you go if you were thinking about it on that end?
Louisiana, New
Louisiana.
Orleans.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I could see that. Not a bad school there either. You go to LSU in the middle of the
LSU.
SEC. That could be pretty sweet. Awesome. Well, hey, I want to extend an invitation. First of all, I'm trying to put together an indoor high jump only meet. So I really only need a basketball gym somewhere with really nice floors.
Okay.
Um, and it's going to be, high tops and whatever. There's not going to be any spikes. It's going to be, we're going to be jumping off of a basketball court floor with, the pits and standards and everything else, and then try to get the best talent. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's it's an idea I've had for a while. I'd like to get my friend Doug Nordquist, great American high jumper, was on the team in '84, jumped 236, 7.8 3/4. And I'd like to do a live feed, right on Instagram, and have jumpers like yourself, you and Gorski, from Modern Day, all those kinds of guys. What did you jump at state last year? You said you got 6. How high did you jump?
Prelims I jumped 6'6", finals I jumped 6'5".
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
it back? It was back to back, right? Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
How did that go over with you? Was that the first time you'd done back to back days like that at that
No,
level?
I did back to back for Arcadia 1 year, and then I went to state sophomore year as well, and it was
Uh-huh.
back to back.
Okay. So you were used to that. Yeah. My senior year, that one, it didn't blindside me. There's no way to really say blindsided. I just had never, I'm sure I'd experienced trying to jump 2 days in a row. I never recovered that fast.
Yeah.
That was a problem being 6'3", 180. I did not come back very well the second day. You give me one day off, I was all right. But
Right.
back to back was difficult. So, all right, you got that to look forward to. So, yeah, the only thing I can't do is I can't get you to do long or triple because I don't have an indoor stadium. I gotta find a good floor, maybe Redondo High School, maybe Orange Lutheran, trying to get some people interested. And last question was, where other than, are you planning on going to Arcadia and Mount Sac, or one or the other?
Yes, I am. This year I'm planning on going to both.
Going to both. That's another one. It's tough too because that's really close, to the very end. You
Yeah.
get to those 2 meets, and then right after that, league finals, league prelims, league finals,
Mm-hmm.
CIF prelims, CIF finals, masters meet. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if you necessarily want to peak for those. They are great showcases, but then right after that, you got that 4 or 5 week grind, to get ready
Yeah.
for. So that's a hard one. Well, hey, Brandon, I really appreciate your time, young man. Appreciate everything your goals that you set out. You seem to have a good head on your shoulders. You're not, trying to bite off too much. I love the high goals, and I wish you nothing but the best. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. You need to get in touch with somebody. I know a few people here and there. Like I said, I'm trying to get this big meet going, but I'm a beginner. I'm like the great idea person that has no clue how to make it happen. So I need to start linking up with people that know somebody else who can make it happen, and then I can take the credit. But if I can get you to one of those things, I'd love to do that. And anything promotionally, let me know as you continue to PR in any or all 3 events. Be glad to do a follow-up post and get the word out about Brandon Cheeks the second.
Sounds good.
All right, young sir.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again, and we'll be talking with you soon. Okay. Best
Yeah,
of
no
luck.
problem.
All right, man.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You bet. And that's going to wrap it up for us here on another episode of Raise the Bar. Our guest this evening was Brandon Cheeks the second. He is from the San Diego area here in California. He is a very well accomplished high, long, and triple jumper. Personal bests are 6'8" in the high jump, which is 203. He has jumped 4611, which I don't know the metric for, in the triple. And he says I think he's in the high 23s. I don't remember exactly what he said there, but his goals were to get into the mid 24s. So he has high level aspirations of winning all 3 events at the state meet. And I say more power to him. And then after that, he would like to stay here on the West Coast and maybe go to USC. He's got interests in music, and just seems like a really pleasant young man. He's got very smartly trained, it sounds like. He's in a good training group with some elite level athletes, and everything's kind of rolling his way. We didn't talk about overtraining and how he got hurt at the end of his junior year, where he could only compete in the high jump and not the other two. But hopefully, he said he learned a lot of lessons. He's going to be wiser, coming up on this next year. So that is it. We're going to be looking for great things from Brandon Cheeks II. You can follow him on Instagram. And again, any chance I get to promote him, I will. All right. So until next time, this is Troy Haines signing off here on another episode of Raise the Bar. And we'll talk to you soon.